Welcome to London, England, and this, the ultimate travel guide. I'm so excited to be back in London, but creating a video about one of the biggest and best cities in the world isn't easy to do. So I'm organizing this in a manner that I hope makes some sense. First, I'll cover how to get here and how to get around the city. Next, I'll talk about where to stay and where to eat. And finally, I'm organizing the attractions section into the following categories: museums, royal attractions, historical and cultural sites, and shopping and markets. As I said, there's a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. There are a number of ways, of course, to get to London. If you're traveling from other areas of Great Britain, the train is a great way to get into the city. And if you're coming from the continent, well, the Eurostar trains arrive into the city using the Channel Tunnel, or the Chunnel, which is an engineering marvel. Ferries from Europe arrive at ports like Dover with rail or coach connections directly into the city. The city also has 6 major airports, with Heathrow and Gatwick being the busiest. We flew into Heathrow this time and then caught the tube directly into the city, and we're at our hotel here in Kensington in about 45 minutes. London is very well serviced by the famous double-decker buses, trains, the underground, and of course the iconic London taxis. Now, my favorite form of transport, though, is the underground system called the tube. Stations are everywhere, the trains are frequent, the stations are pretty clean, and after an initial breaking-in period, the system is relatively easy to understand. As for the underground stations, well, there are some pretty interesting ones with great history. Covent Garden is known for its quirky lifts and spiral staircase with 193 steps. And Canary Wharf, well, it's a futuristic cathedral-like station in London's financial district. And by the way, if you are using the tube, mind the gap. As far as train stations, there are some pretty incredible and beautiful train stations here in London. Paddington Station was opened in 1854 and has a cute Paddington Bear statue right in the middle of the station. And if you like quirky and cool, across the street from Paddington Station is one of the most amazing clocks you will ever see. This unique timepiece features a man inside the clock manually adjusting the time. It is really cool. King's Cross Station is a terrific blend of both old and new and is home to the legendary Platform 9 3/4, where Harry Potter fans flock these days for a photo. Other well-known train stations include St. Pancras, Liverpool, Waterloo, and Victoria, where my parents met way back in 1965. Of course, you can drive around the city, and I have done so. And it was an awful experience, so if you can avoid it, I would highly recommend doing just that, avoiding driving in the city. Now, another great way to get around, in fact, my preferred way other than the tube, is walking. There are pockets of London, such as Westminster, Notting Hill, and Kensington, that are great for just that. Walking around is a great way to see the city. Now, we love to do it, but it's also really a great way to understand the culture of the city and to see some sights that perhaps you otherwise just would not see. London is huge, enormous. So it wouldn't surprise anybody to hear that there are over 125,000 hotel rooms. So you're certainly spoiled for choice. You have so many choices, from basic hotels, Verbos, bed and breakfasts, and swanky and ridiculously priced hotels. Well, I guess you could probably argue that most accommodation is crazy expensive here in London. It is not a cheap city to visit. We usually stay in the Kensington area of London, and in this area I've stayed at several hotels and even a hostel way back in the 1980s. We stayed at the Millennium a number of times here in Kensington. Then earlier this year we stayed at the Park International Hotel, which was very nice, but this time we stayed at the Bailey, which has been wonderful. It is the best hotel I've stayed in London, and importantly, it is very close to Gloucester Street Tube Station. Like, so close you walk out the door and there it is. And I'm telling you, at the end of a long, hard day, when you've done 20,000 steps, being that close is worth the price. And when it comes to restaurants, of course, well, we have a common theme. That is, London has everything. So if you like a particular sort of restaurant, you'll find it here. Well, where do you start with food in London? I mean, there are thousands of restaurants here in London, from the unaffordable to the simple fare that you can pick up in one of the many pret-a-mangers. Now, I'm not too interested in the fancy and expensive, so we eat at cafes, pubs, and markets. Now, the one market that is best known for food is Borough Market, which has over 100 food stalls, and yep, it is so much fun, and it's very busy, so pack your patience, but boy, it's worth it. I don't have any favorites here in London for food, well, except for the pret-a-mangers, because they're quick, easy, and the food's actually, I don't find it too bad. However, I do love a place in London. It's just outside Kensington Palace, and it's called the Orangery. London has a lifetime's worth of attractions to see, so squeezing them all into a relatively short video is, well, it's impossible. However, I'm going to do my best to cover the most significant and interesting attractions in this magnificent city. Well, let's start with the museums, and there are an incredible number of world-class museums right here in London. And there's no better place to start than with the iconic British Museum. The British Museum showcases a vast collection of global artifacts, including the Rosetta Stone, Parthenon sculptures that were, borrowed from ancient Greece, and Egyptian mummies. It offers a comprehensive exploration of human history, culture, and art, spanning ancient civilizations to modern times. The Natural History Museum is famous for its vast collection of fossils, minerals, and exhibits on Earth's history. Interactive galleries explore dinosaurs, volcanoes, and human evolution. And the building, oh my goodness, it's incredible. The Victoria and Albert Museum is a world-class museum of art and design with collections spanning 5,000 years. And I might add, the architecture of many of these museums, most notably this one, is absolutely stunning and well worth visiting for this reason alone. The Science Museum in the Kensington area is a world-renowned institution, showcasing scientific discoveries, space exploration, and technical advancements. The museum features interactive exhibits and historic artifacts like Stephenson's rocket and the Apollo 10 command module. Located in Trafalgar Square, the National Gallery houses a stunning collection of Western European paintings from the 13th through to the 19th centuries. The Tate Gallery is located in a former power station, and this museum is really, truly one of the world's leading modern art galleries. Now, this is London, so there's a museum seemingly for just about every topic you could imagine. London's royal attractions offer a window into history, showcasing opulent palaces, grand ceremonies, and timeless symbols of Britain's crown. Buckingham Palace is the official residence of the British monarch and a symbol of the British monarchy. Located in Westminster, the palace is known for its stunning architecture, rich history, and ceremonial functions. You can tour the staterooms in the summer and watch the changing of the guard every day. One of the best attractions in London, hands down, is the Tower of London. Touring the tower is a must, and if you haven't done it before, please go and see the tower. The highlights include the White Tower, the Crown Jewels, and the Bloody Tower. You can even see where good old Henry VIII, had many of his wives beheaded. Kensington Palace has been a royal residence since the 17th century and is the current home of several members of the royal family, including Prince William and Kate. Tours are available of some of the palace. Hampton Court Palace is a magnificent Tudor palace located on the banks of the River Thames. The palace features an amazing, old but working Tudor kitchen, the Great Vine, the maze, and the Great Hall. Windsor Castle is one of the oldest and largest inhabited castles in the world and has been a royal residence for over 1,000 years. Located about 25 miles from central London, it serves as an official residence of the British monarch and is renowned for its stunning architecture, historic significance, and beautiful grounds. Windsor Castle was built under the watch of William the Conqueror beginning around 1070. A key attraction includes St. George's Chapel, the burial place of several monarchs, including Queen Elizabeth II. Designed by Sir Christopher Wren, this magnificent cathedral and dome has been a symbol of London since the 17th century. St. Paul's was the site of Charles and Diana's wedding, the funerals of Sir Winston Churchill and Lord Nelson, and where Queen Victoria celebrated her Diamond Jubilee in 1897. You can climb to the Whispering Gallery for incredible views of the interior. Well, if you don't mind heights. And while there, you can whisper along the curved wall, and someone on the opposite side, about 100 feet away, can actually hear you perfectly. Westminster Abbey is a stunning Gothic church with a history dating over 1,000 years. It has been the site of every coronation but two since William the Conqueror in 1066. It has also been the site of several royal weddings, including Prince William and his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. And it's the final resting place of several notable historical figures, including Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin. Greenwich is known for its maritime history as well as its royal connections. Greenwich is home to the UNESCO-listed Royal Greenwich Observatory, the Prime Meridian, the stunning Old Royal Naval College, the National Maritime Museum, the Queen's House, the Palace of Palencia, and Greenwich Park. King Henry VIII, Queen Elizabeth I, and Edward VI were all born in Greenwich. And while there, don't miss the stunning Cutty Sark, a 19th century tea clipper. Other royal buildings in or near central London include Clarence House, St. James's Palace, the Royal Mews, Kew Palace, and the Banqueting House. London boasts 8 magnificent royal parks owned by the Crown and open to the public. These parks, often referred to as the lungs of London, are beautiful and occupy some pretty pricey real estate in the city. The parks include Hyde Park, which offers scenic walks, historic monuments, and year-round cultural events such as the spectacular Hyde Park Winter Wonderland during the Christmas season. Next to Hyde Park is the beautiful Kensington Gardens, which might just be my favorite of all the gardens, and has Kensington Palace, the Diana Memorial, and the Prince Albert Memorial. Near Buckingham Palace is the Green and St. James's Park. Other wonderful royal parks in or near the city include the Regent's Park, which is where the London Zoo is located, Richmond, Greenwich, and Bushey. For more information on seeing, touring, and buying tickets to the royal sites in and around the city, check out the Royal Collection Trust website. If you're traveling to the UK, don't forget about the changes to entry into the country. You now need an electronic travel authorization prior to arriving in England. History is everywhere in London, so it's impossible to miss and thankfully easy to enjoy. Here are the main historical and cultural icons in London. And yes, I know I can't fit them all in to this little tiny video, but I'll do my best. Situated right on the River Thames, the Houses of Parliament, or Palace of Westminster, is the seat of the UK Parliament, home to the House of Commons as well as the House of Lords. Originally a royal palace, it was rebuilt after a fire in 1834 in Gothic Revival style. Its iconic features include Big Ben and the Victoria Tower. symbolizing British democracy. 10 Downing Street is an historic Georgian townhouse in London and the Prime Minister's official residence. Many years ago, you could actually walk right up to the front door. But of course, no longer. The street is off limits to looky-loos. The monument is a 202-foot column commemorating the Great Fire of London in 1666. And if you don't mind heights, you can actually climb all the way to the top for impressive panoramic views of the city. Located in the heart of the city's West End, Piccadilly Circus is a vibrant landmark known for its bright neon billboards, historic architecture, and bustling atmosphere. Trafalgar Square is an historic London landmark and location, featuring Nelson's Column, majestic fountains, and iconic lion statues. The square is also home to the National Gallery. Tower Bridge is one of London's most recognizable landmarks. Completed in 1894, it spans the River Thames near the Tower of London. Tower Bridge is often confused with London Bridge, but it was actually named after the nearby Tower of London. And of course, history evolves, and London's historic buildings now stand alongside a wave of sleek, modern architecture. The London Eye is a 130-meter-high observation wheel on the south bank of the Thames, and it offers breathtaking panoramic views of London's skyline. The Eye features 32 glass capsules, making it one of the city's most popular and recognizable attractions. Canary Wharf is London's modern financial hub, known for its skyscrapers, global banks, upscale shopping, riverside dining, and striking blend of glass, steel, and water. Western Europe's tallest building is the Shard, and it offers unparalleled views of the city from its observation decks. It's very interesting looking at London's skyline, as there's a serious blend of the old and the elegant with the modern and unique. The skyline features some very different modern buildings with some rather quirky names like the Gherkin, the aforementioned Shard, the Cheese Grater, the Scalpel, and the Walkie-Talkie, each reflecting their distinctive shapes and redefining the city's architectural identity. For more travel videos on Great Britain, please subscribe. Shopping in London is the reason many visit, and the city does have some of the world's great department stores like Harrods, Selfridges, Fortnum & Mason, and that's only a few. And yes, there are some famous shopping areas of London worth visiting, such as Oxford and Regent Streets. But many tourists like myself prefer the markets where the goods are more interesting and even more eclectic, and the atmosphere is something special. Here are the top markets in the City of London. Borough Market is London's oldest food market and offers gourmet produce and international cuisine, and is located near London Bridge. It's also a great location to try out all sorts of different foods, or, of course, take your photo for Instagram. Portobello Road Market is famous for its extensive antique section, street food, and vintage fashion, and is set in the colorful Notting Hill area. Covent Garden is our favorite market, and is an historic market featuring luxury boutiques, handmade crafts, street performers, and artisan goods in a beautiful and lively atmosphere. And if you want some good quality, tourist-type stuff, well, you can get that here too. Now, if you do go to Covent Garden, don't just go to the garden itself. Certainly go there, but also wander the streets nearby. There's wonderful boutique shopping, restaurants, and coffee shops not far from the market itself in beautiful alleyways and smaller streets. Leadenhall Market is a stunning Victorian covered market featuring ornate architecture, boutique shops, and dining. Dating back to the 14th century, it's an absolutely beautiful and historic gem and a Harry Potter filming location. As much as we tried, we didn't get to every single market in London, so here is a list of the major markets in London. London is a world-class entertainment hub, offering everything from West End theater to live music, comedy, and immersive experiences. The West End, often called the Broadway of London, is home to many iconic theaters and world-renowned plays. Other famous entertainment venues in the city include the Royal Opera House, the National Theatre for some brutalist architecture, Shakespeare's Globe for some, well, not-so-brutalist architecture, the O2 Arena, the famous Wembley Stadium, and of course the very beautiful Royal Albert Hall, right here in Kensington. Naturally, there's all kinds of entertainment in smaller venues and even in local pubs. I mean, whatever your fancy, you'll probably find it right here in London. London boasts a rich sporting culture, hosting world-class events in iconic stadiums. Football, or soccer, is the most popular sport with clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham Hotspur. Cricket thrives at Lord's, the home of cricket, as well as at the Oval, although neither is as good as the MCG in Melbourne. Just saying. The beautiful Wimbledon hosts tennis. Rugby is played at Twickenham Stadium, and of course London has hosted the Olympics on 3 occasions, the last being in 2012. If you're visiting London and have an extra day or two, getting out for the day and leaving the city is easy to do, particularly with the wonderful train services here in Great Britain. During this trip to London, we've gone to Windsor, which I love, and if you do go, by the way, please do spend a couple of hours visiting Windsor Castle. We also went to Bath, which is a great city with the Roman baths, as well as the Bath Abbey, to name just a couple of the many attractions. We also visited the city of Cambridge and, of course, the incredible University of Cambridge. And all of these trips this time were easy day trips and relatively affordable. Other day trips that you can easily do from London include Oxford, Canterbury, Brighton, Stratford-upon-Avon, Dover, Salisbury, and of course Stonehenge. And if you really want to get crazy, you can even go to Paris for the day, which we did about a decade ago, and it was incredibly fun. So there you go, one of the best cities in the world, London.